But last night, we also revealed what goes on in another institution where the conditions were even more extreme. Saray, in the suburbs of Turkey's capital, Ankara, is home to over 700 disabled children. This time, in order to avoid detection, the Duchess of York put on a disguise.
That works.
Around the vast complex of buildings, we rarely saw any children outside. And inside, the smell of feces was overpowering.
It absolutely stinks.
We visited chaotic room after room, full of children with mental or physical disabilities. Many have been here since they were toddlers. The signs of distress, repetitive behaviour, and a desperate desire for attention were everywhere. We came across this young boy lying in the middle of the corridor.
What's he doing here? What's he just doing lying on the floor?
I'm going to ask our project lady, because I don't know why he's here.
He shouldn't just be lying on the floor like this, in the middle of a corridor.
We were later told the boy is never taken outside. But he loves to feel the sun on his face, so he crawls along the corridor to rest wherever the sunlight falls.
He shouldn't just be lying on the floor like this, in the middle of a corridor.
He's one of the kids.
We found children sat in their own excrement.
I don't know how long you filmed this issue. I highly believe that soon after your film, at 5 minutes or 10 minutes after this incident, they changed his nappies. But you didn't film during the whole day and the whole things in the institutions.
We found a child left unsupervised in the corridor and left to crawl along the floor down a corridor.
This child is totally mentally and physically disabled. He's getting sunshine and he likes it. However, you may ask why he was unsupervised, and we agree with you. He shouldn't left unsupervised.
We also showed our footage to a leading human rights lawyer.
What I've just seen is Dickensian, and quite frankly, that's an insult to Charles Dickens. That a child has to crawl along the floor to obtain sunlight is shocking. You don't need to be a human rights expert to see that that must be in contravention of fundamental human dignity.
Try to imagine what that child's world is like, in which all he can ever hope for is to get some sun on his face. I just can't imagine. It's a human life which is being given to him by those around him.
Our programme showed even worse sights in Saray, numerous disabled children tied up and restrained with torn rags.
This is the worst unit in the whole place.
We spent over 2 hours inside the institution, which has been heavily criticised by some of Turkey's own disability rights campaigners. And despite us seeing a number of children tied up in Saray, the Turkish authorities claimed only 2 individuals were tethered. We also found children tied up. Some children were tied to benches or beds. Others had their arms tied behind their backs.
One of them was tied up from behind because he possessed risk for himself and for the other children. But this is not a systematic approach and practice in our institution. We do not encourage this. We are going to conduct a thorough inquiry and investigation about this matter.
When we see this sort of footage, we've got to be very careful where the blame should be apportioned. In my opinion, it's common for the blame to be automatically given to the staff, and that would be wrong. We should look to the state here that have woefully failed to support their staff in looking after their people. And I would guess that a lot of the staff seeing this footage would be just as keen as we are to put things right.
Meanwhile, the Turkish government seemed concerned that our investigation could be detrimental to the children.
Some of the conclusions you reached based on illegal materials, and you didn't get consent of the children. This is very important.
Well, it's in the public's interest.
There is no public interest in the name of the protected children.
There's a lot of public interest in how children are looked after in a country that wants to join the European Union.
Look, you could have protected the interest of children without filming.
Is Turkey protecting the interests of children, disabled and physically and mentally ill children?
Of course.
by tying them up and feeding them lying down?
I accept some irregularities and incompetency of some of the staff.
The Duchess of York wanted to go to Turkey
Yes.
to help, not point fingers. She wants to see what she can do to help the NGOs out there.
No.
Would you accept her help?
We didn't ask money from the Duchess of York. I don't know who invited her and what she wanted to do in Turkey. So if she wants to inspect any institution, we are happy to open any institution. Turkey has the pride and history of providing social services more than 100 years. So we have a commitment. Children are first. We are going to do it. Not just because of becoming member of the EU. It is just for us.
At the end of our interview, the Turkish spokesman handed me a DVD. It shows pictures of the first home we visited, images that the Turkish government would prefer you to see.